In 334 BCE, Alexandros III of Macedon. Alexander began the Persian campaign at 22. He achieved victories at the battles of Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela, and built a vast empire stretching from Greece and Egypt to Persia and as far as the Indus River. Alexander the Great, a conqueror forever remembered in world history. Come, let us follow in the footsteps of his great journey. Although Macedonia originated from the same Dorian Greek stock, it had long been considered a frontier kingdom by the Greeks. However, under the rule of Alexandros' father, Philip II, Macedonia became a formidable military power. Philip introduced military reforms, including the adoption of the sarissa, an 18-foot-long spear. It was twice as long as the usual Greek spear and was wielded by soldiers trained in the dense phalanx formation. In 338 BCE, Philip II used this military strength to decisively defeat the Greek allied forces at the end of the Peloponnesian Wars. Macedonia, having dominated the Greek world, formed the Hellenic League excluding Sparta and assumed command as its supreme commander. He then resolved to wage war against Persia, the long-standing rival of the Greek world. However, before the war could begin, Philip II was assassinated. His successor was his 20-year-old son, Alexandros III. This extraordinary young king was educated by the great Greek philosopher Aristotle and was already an experienced commander in numerous battles. Upon his accession, Alexandros swiftly eliminated domestic rivals and suppressed rebellions in Illyria, Thessaly, and Greece. Notably, he utterly destroyed Thebes to quash any chance of further revolt. With all preparations complete, he set out for the Persian campaign. In 334 BCE, Alexandros crossed the Hellespont and marched into Asia Minor. This marked the beginning of Alexandros' historic conquest wars. His diverse army numbered around 40,000 men. It consisted of the sarissa-armed phalanx led by Parmenion, the shield-bearing elite hypaspists commanded by Nicanor, the heavily armed Greek hoplites and Thracian skirmishers, the companion cavalry led by Philotas, and the royal cavalry personally commanded by Alexandros himself completed the force. When Alexandros invaded, the satraps convened to discuss defensive strategies, and Memnon of Rhodes, a Greek serving the Persians, proposed a scorched earth policy. However, this plan was rejected, and eventually, the battle between Alexandros' forces and the Persians took place at the Granicus River. The Granicus River was about 18 meters wide but not deep, and Alexandros launched his attack by crossing the river. Alexandros positioned the phalanx at the center, cavalry on both the left and right wings, and personally led the cavalry on the right wing. The companion cavalry crossed the river first, followed by the hypaspists and the Paeonian cavalry supporting the attack. As they reached the middle of the Granicus River, Persian arrows and thrown weapons rained down upon them. Encouraging his men, Alexandros barely made it to the far bank, where fierce combat with Persian cavalry ensued. Though seemingly reckless, his attack forced the Persians to concentrate on the right wing, buying crucial time for his main force, the phalanx, to cross the river. Despite a perilous moment where his helmet was shattered during the fierce battle, Alexandros and his main forces successfully crossed the river and shattered the Persian ranks, securing a decisive victory. In 333 BCE, after his decisive victory at the Battle of Granicus, Alexandros captured Sardis, Miletus, and Halicarnassus in Lydia. And Alexandros cut the Gordian knot, a legend that foretold he would rule all of Asia, and then marched toward. At that moment, the main Persian army led by King Darius III appeared. Darius, commanding twice the number of troops, pressed Alexandros, who then moved to the plains of Issus. The plains of Issus, a narrow coastal region, prevented Darius's 100,000-strong army from using its numerical advantage. As before, Alexandros positioned his phalanx at the center. He led his elite cavalry at the forefront of the right wing and charged the Persian forces. Alexandros' right wing forced the Persian army to retreat. However, the phalanx in the center, trying to match the speed to support the right wing, found itself in a crisis. Sensing the danger, Alexandros regrouped his troops and led another charge toward the Persian center. The Persians, caught in the hammer and anvil tactic of phalanx and cavalry, fell into confusion, and Alexandros seized the moment to charge at Darius. Darius was unable to stand against the relentless Alexandros and retreated. At that time, the left wing under Parmenion was in grave danger, and if broken, Persia's numerical superiority might have secured victory. However, Darius did not stand against Alexandros, and the withdrawal of their commanders caused the entire Persian army to rout. Ultimately, the plains of Issus were strewn with Persian corpses, and Darius's wife and family were taken captive. Having defeated Darius, Alexandros was unstoppable. In 332 BCE, he captured the Phoenician coastal cities, securing dominance over the Mediterranean. The region of Gaza was also taken, and Egypt surrendered. Alexandros was hailed as a liberator in Memphis, Egypt, and crowned pharaoh. At this time, King Aegus of Sparta revolted, but was subdued by Alexandros' general Antipater. The legendary Spartan warriors could no longer stand against Macedonia, and with King Aegus killed, Greece returned to stability. Alexandros then resumed his march into Persia. Frightened by Alexandros' advance, Darius offered peace. His offer included half the Persian Empire, his daughter in marriage, and vast treasures. But Alexandros desired not half, but the entirety of the empire. Alexandros of Macedon, a small Greek kingdom, invaded the vast Persian Empire. His conquest, which seemed impossible, witnessed great victories against Persia at the battles of Granicus and Issus, thanks to his exceptional leadership and skill. Having secured the lands west of the Euphrates River, Alexandros advanced toward the heart of the Persian Empire. Alexandros gathered his forces at Gaugamela, where the Persian king Darius also marched to meet him. It was Darius's last chance, and a golden opportunity for Alexandros to defeat him. Darius commanded an army of 80,000, twice the size of Alexandros' forces. His army included infantry and cavalry from Syria, Armenia, and India, as well as scythed chariots and war elephants. Alexandros faced Darius's army with phalanx infantry at the center and cavalry on both flanks. As always, Alexandros led the right wing and launched the attack. Darius believed he had trapped Alexandros and saw it as an opportunity. He immediately deployed scythed chariots to strike the Macedonian center. However, Alexandros' phalanx crushed the chariots and advanced toward Darius himself. Alexandros joined the fray, breaking through the heart of Darius' forces. The chariot corps was annihilated, and the Persian center fell into chaos under Alexandros' charge. Darius once again retreated, and the Persian center collapsed and fled. However, as victory seemed imminent, the Macedonian left flank was in danger. They were surrounded by Persian cavalry, and Parmenion urgently called for Alexandros' aid. Alexandros abandoned the pursuit of Darius to turn and assist his left wing. The fiercest combat ensued, claiming many lives among Alexandros' elite companion cavalry. At last, the Persian cavalry, hearing news of Darius' flight, retreated. After this grueling battle, Alexandros won a decisive victory over tens of thousands of Persian soldiers at the Battle of Gaugamela. With this victory, he entered the grand city of Babylon and ascended the Persian throne. In 330 BCE, Alexandros burned Persepolis as retribution for the Persian invasion of Greece and the burning of the Athenian temples in 480 BCE, and then marched north to Media. His goal was to capture Darius and end the war. However, while fleeing from Alexandros, Darius was betrayed and killed by his own satrap, Bessus. Bessus proclaimed himself the new king of Persia, but Alexandros honored the slain Darius as the legitimate king and ordered a royal burial. Alexandros then marched to punish Bessus for murdering Darius and declaring himself ruler of the empire. In 330 BCE, Alexandros marched eastward. His goal was to subdue the eastern regions of Persia and to punish Bessus, the usurper. Alexandros advanced into Aria, defeated the Persian satrap Satybarzanes, and founded Alexandria Ariana. In 329 BCE, after founding Alexandria in Arachosia and reaching Kondos, Bessus was betrayed by his own men and captured by Alexandros. Captured Bessus was sent to Persia, tried for regicide, the murder of Darius, and executed. With Bessus executed, Alexandros advanced into Tajikistan and defeated the Sogdians. He also defeated the frequently raiding Scythians and founded Alexandria Eshete on the frontier of the Persian Empire. Alexandria Eshete, meaning the farthest Alexandria, was built to commemorate reaching the easternmost limits of Persia. Though he had reached the eastern end of Persia, Alexandros had no intention of stopping. However, his soldiers were exhausted and longed to return home. Moreover, dissatisfaction grew among the troops as Alexandros embraced Persian customs and dress. Ultimately, during a heated quarrel at a drinking party in Maracanda, Alexandros killed his general Cletus. Further resentment led to assassination attempts against Alexandros, resulting in the execution of his historian, Callisthenes. Despite many trials and tribulations, Alexandros' conquests did not cease. In 327 BCE, he married Roxana, the noblewoman of Bactria, and set out to conquer the unconquered eastern provinces of Persia. He crossed the Hindu Kush Mountains, reached the Indus River Valley, and after victorious battles against the Aspasioi and Asakanoi tribes, entered the Swat Valley. He captured the Asakanoi capital, Masaga, and formed an alliance with nearby Taxila. Together, they advanced on the kingdom of Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes. At the Battle of the Hydaspes, although King Porus's war elephants inflicted heavy damage, Alexandros ultimately won and secured control of the Punjab region. Having conquered the Punjab, Alexandros aimed to extend his conquests to the ends of the world. However, exhausted by 8 years of war, his troops mutinied, forcing him to abandon further expeditions. They followed the Punjab River towards the sea. Some traveled by ship, while others crossed the desert to return to Persepolis. As he planned once more to embark on a campaign beyond Arabia, he fell suddenly ill and died at the young age of 32. Alexandros the Great was a leader and conqueror who built an empire that would leave a lasting legacy in history. Through a decade-long campaign, he created a vast empire stretching from Greece to Pakistan. His conquests spread Greek culture throughout Persia, ushering in the Hellenistic Age, a fusion of Eastern and Western cultures. However, after the passing of this great conqueror, the empire fragmented. No successor was named, and the empire's rulers vied for control over its lands. Eventually, Alexandros' generals, the Diadochi, divided the empire, founding their own kingdoms and engaging in wars for dominance over the Hellenistic world. That continued until the rise of Rome.